Good morning, class. We're going to try something a little different this week. We're going to record the lesson so that you can play it back when you are working independently and you can get the work done at your own pace. This week, for Wit and Wisdom, we're going to be looking at the text Thank You, Mr. Folker, and we're going to be practicing the content stages in reading and the craft stages in writing. Welcome. Reflect on reading. I want you to think about how does reading make you feel and why. And who is someone you know that likes reading? And how do you know they like it? You are going to write these responses in your notebook. So if you don't have your notebook yet, make sure you get that. With the first bullet, you can write or draw how reading makes you feel, and you can give your picture a title or a caption. So you will have some time to work on this question, this reflect and on reading question during your independent work time. Let's move on. Today's learning goal is to make observations and ask questions about Thank You, Mr. Folker. As you know, I'm going to model how to do this work, and then you will continue as you listen to the story and as you read it over when you're working on your own. The essential question is, how does reading help us build knowledge? Focusing question is, what does reading mean to Trisha? And Thank You, Mr. Folker. And our content framing question and wonder is, what do I notice and wonder about Thank You, Mr. Folker? So this week we're going to be working on building knowledge and how is it that reading helps us build knowledge. So let's examine the cover. Before we do that, we should, in our notebooks, create our T-chart. Remember that the T-chart has two columns. The first column is what I notice, and the second column is what I wonder. Here I provided a scaffold, which is basically a list of sentence frames to help you to frame your questions when you are writing. When you're writing your I notice, I wonder T-chart. So in the I notice column, you want to start your sentences with I notice or I see. And when you're writing in your wonder column, you should be starting your sentences with I wonder why, or I wonder if. You may ask some questions starting with why and how, or if, then, and why. So let's take a moment to examine the cover. What do you notice and see? What do you wonder? Let's look at some sample responses. What I notice a girl pulling her hair. It looks like she's reading. I notice a man in a suit standing next to the girl. Remember in the notice, we're writing exactly what we see. In the wonder column is where we'll put in our thinking and our guessing and conclusions that we are possibly drawing. So let's look at the wonder column. I wonder what the girl is feeling. She looks mad or sad. I wonder who the man is, her father or teacher. And I wonder if the girl is in trouble. As we listen to the read aloud, and as you have an opportunity to read the book again on your own, you're going to complete the I notice and I wonder chart after reading each page. So, about to get to the read aloud, guys. But as you listen to the story, which I will record in a different session, a different slide so that you can refer to, and not have to listen to this part and then read aloud, right? Because some of you might want to just hear the read aloud. Okay. While you listen to the read aloud, and as you listen to it, or as you read it yourself, I want you to consider these 4 very important bullets. The first 2 bullets are for your T-chart. What do I notice and what do I wonder? And the last 2 bullets, these 2 here with the questions, are going to be for your evidence organizer. And we're going to talk about that a little bit. In the evidence organizer, which is located it's a Google Doc that I created. It's in the Google Classroom. There's going to be 2 columns. I should have had a picture of it here, but you'll see it. You're going to answer what was Trisha's life like before she learned how to read, and what was Trisha's life like after she learned how to read. So the materials that you're going to need when you go off and work off on your own are the I Noticed and I Wonder T-chart, which you create in your notebooks, and this read aloud evidence organizer that I just mentioned. This sheet may be completed during the independent work time when students have a chance to listen to the read aloud again and at their own pace, and you may also complete it in your notebook. For those of you who are looking at this work through a phone or through a device where you can't access the Google document, it is okay. You can just recreate the organizer in your notebook, fill it out, and take a picture and send it to me. Both need to be submitted, the T-chart, the I Wonder and Notice, and the evidence organizer. Okay, let's get to our read aloud.